Welcome to Vietnam, home to both Arred and Pavan forces. The year is 1965 and JFK has just been assassinated. Lyndon B. Johnson, now president, begins sending troops to Vietnam. The Vietnam War is one of the earliest wars being reported live from there to your television back home in the United States, trying to avoid the present draft.
Bro, you just killed him!
I want you to ask yourself one question. What do you know about the Vietnam War? When talking about Vietnam, I'm not the first person to say it, but the US forces didn't know
We're gonna
much
kill
about the
them!
warfare there. Remember, the US Army had just 10 years prior fought in the Korean War and 20 years after World War II. So how did the US military lose, and how did the People's Army of Vietnam, PAVN, and the Viet Cong prevail over the odds and win? Background. After World War II, Indochina-Vietnam War now was still under French control, but fighting quickly began since there was a little thing called the Viet Minh, led by my man Ho Chi Minh. This went on for a few years that eventually led to the 17th parallel, which divided the Democratic Republic of Vietnam and the Republic of Vietnam, which I will be referring to as North and South Vietnam. This concludes the background of our up-and-coming conflict. Early stages. I'm not going over the early stages of the war, just US involvement in general. US involvement began when President Kennedy pushed for US involvement in 1961. So they got the US Air Force to send a squadron covertly to provide air support to South Vietnam. They were codenamed Farmgate. And the personnel sent with the squadron were officially designated as US advisors to South Vietnam. Later in 1961, the CIA was sent in with US Special Forces, or Green Berets. This actual official support came on December 11th, 1961, when the US aircraft carrier USNS or USSS Card docked in Saigon. On board, there were 82 US Army H-21 helicopters and 400 men. The Gulf of Tonkin incident and subsequent US intervention. The Gulf of Tonkin incident refers to a naval battle between the USS Maddox and 3 North Vietnamese torpedo boats. In 2005, there was a report by the NSA that revealed there was no attack on the USS Maddox. Claims there will vary between if the attack actually happened or if it was just a false flag operation, basically misleading people. Real or not, Congress passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, which granted the President the power to take all necessary measures to repel any attack on American armed forces and to prevent further aggression. In 1964, the US Army base at Pleiku was attacked. Following this, aerial combat was increased with the operations such as Rolling Thunder, Operation Flaming Dart, and Operation Arclight.
I don't know if you guys can hear this. Oh, that's the Imperial Palace. Oh god, I'm firing on it. Oh no, aerial bombardment. Be like, haha, funny, misclick, guys. I dropped the bombs on the Imperial Palace where the US troops were.
During this, bombing was not restricted to only North Vietnam, it also went into Laos.
Alright, hey guys, I don't know how I got my pilot license after they revoked it last time. So we're gonna bomb Laos now and Cambodia. I think it's gonna be a pretty good time. I heard they got good food there. Oh, Viet Cong convoy. So it seems like I've spotted the Viet Cong convoy, guys. Wait, oh, that's friendlies. Guys, I don't know, I keep missing them. I think I got them, but I think they were friendlies also.
1965. US ground forces land in southern Vietnam. On March 8th, in 1965, 3,500 US Marines landed near Da Nang, South Vietnam.
Alright, so it seems like they finally caught on to what I'm doing. Oh. We're actually pretty close to the sorry base since they just landed here. Alright, we can go check it out. And by check it out, I mean hey guys, so remember me, I like to throw bombs at friendly people.
This is well regarding as the beginning of the US ground war in Vietnam. US military commanders were trained for the offensive wars, not defensive wars. And the first task these Marines were given was defending the Da Nang Air Base.
Oh my god.
This deployment of 3,500 US Marines was increased to around 200,000 by December. General William Westmoreland advocated for an aggressive departure from America's defensive posture, sidelining the South Vietnamese forces. Westmoreland outlined a 3-point plan to win the Vietnam War. This is as follows. Phase 1. The commitment of the US and other free world forces was necessary to halt the losing trend by the end of 1965. Phase 2. The US and allied forces mount a major offensive to seize the initiative and destroy guerrilla and organized enemy forces. Phase 2 would end when the enemy had been worn down on the defensive and driven back from major populated areas. Phase 3! Phase 3, if the enemy forces persisted, a period of 12 to 18 months following Phase 2 would be required for the total destruction of enemy forces remaining in remote base areas. Major engagements and battle tactics. The US strategy for the most part of the war was search and destroy, basically meaning it find enemy or weapon cache.
God damn, we found the boys.
Blow it up.
Fire. I missed.
And return to base. Oh god, this is a genius strategy. How can it fail?
Run, run.
And then they repeated it multiple times. The first actual major combat operation was versus the People's Army of Vietnam was fought at La Drang, where the use of helicopters was implemented, and saw the first large-scale US air assaults and using B-52 Stratofortress bombers.
Alright guys, I got my pilot license back. I'm not flying helicopter. Oh, it seems like La Drang. Oh, I fired off my smoke. We're just gonna begin our bombing run.
Strategic bombers and a tactical support role. A lot of political mischiefs were being brewed in southern Vietnam, but we do not need to worry about that. Southern Vietnam can do their own little thing. The next major offensive we are covering was known as the Tet Offensive, a plan by the PAVN and Viet Cong to launch attacks against US and armed forces, as well as capture major towns and cities in the south.
I said, I don't see how this can fail, guys. This is foolproof. We just take over these areas and then we go here. And then we win. Very easy.
The first month of this offensive was seen with general success, being able to capture most of the former imperial capital and even some parts of Saigon.
Alright, seems like we made some pretty good ground. We taken over the Imperial Palace, assaulted majorly most of our objectives. Our special infantry Da Kong seemed to have made advances into Saigon even. What the I don't know, but we can see we're optimistic and we like good results.
This success was short-lived, as by May they had launched the May Offensive, which saw some success to an extent. But...
Okay, it seems like we've been beaten back in some areas, but we have made a little bit of advances. We are holding still the line, but Saigon fell to the US. No, I don't think we should continue this offensive. I think we should pull back our troops and reorganize. That's just my opinion, though. But okay, we continue the offensive. We continue offensive.
It's basically a draw or something like that. The last offensive was the August Offensive, which basically went and made the North Vietnamese forces reconsider their life choices.
Why did we continue? We lost all our settlements in the south. We don't have anything there. Our forces are being beaten back on the front. What is this? Why is there a secret operation team attacking our prisoner of war camp? And what is this? What did someone tell me right?
Stay hydrated. As the total losses of all of these offensives counted up to around 45,000 PAVN soldiers dead and 11,000 casualties. Basically a fancy word for meaning. People are both dead, injured. We screwed up. hard. Viet Cong recruitment dropped 80% and the Viet Cong almost held no territory in the south now. Over in the mainland, US public support for the war dwindled.
I don't think we want this war anymore.
Most warfare by the People's Army of Vietnam was a strategy of guerrilla warfare, meaning that smaller units would be set up and that they would set up traps and or ambushes to mainly kill US troops, or ambush their supplies. These traps led the troops to fear if they would step onto a Pudgy trap or move into an ambush.
I got this, I got this, I got this, I gotta set up a trap. I will set up the trap on the road and the US will walk into it. Let's see, we put down satchel, and then we put down large trap. And then we put up a small trap. Ah, perfect. The Viet Cong lifestyle.
What has been happening in the US while we have been talking? Now, I'm gonna put on a Ben 10 mask because a lot of stuff has happened in the here. All right. So, well, I've been talking about Vietnam for probably 10 minutes right now. We are not done. We are almost done. I'm gonna be shortening this section up right now and basically summarizing what happened while we were talking about Vietnam. So while this has been going on, Vietnam was a very big topic on the mainland, which meant that in the US presidential election of 1968, Vietnam was a very big topic. Now, we're gonna talk a little bit about our candidates for this election. Richard Nixon, you probably know him. One way or another. One way you probably know Richard Nixon is through Watergate. Now, I'm gonna probably send a Republican hit squad on me. If I do not report by this date, I will be dead. It was nice knowing you all. Richard Nixon was standing to bring the men back home, and that he had a plan to bring peace to Vietnam. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party's candidate, Hubert Horatio Humphrey, wanted to continue the Great Society welfare programs. And somehow an independent party got there and got literally Texas and most southern votes. This party was led by George Wallace, former Democrat, who basically just was there. Skipping to the results of the elections, Richard Nixon won. Congratulations! Congratulations! Come on! We can now move on to our last point before the outro. Vietnamization. So Richard Nixon won the election, as we said before. His secret to ending the war will take some explaining, since it's very similar to something that has happened recently. So, remember Afghanistan? Yeah, probably recently anyway. 1 year anniversary, by the way. Congratulations! I'm being set up for the CIA hit squad on me. Well, when the US pullout happened, their strategy primarily shifted from direct combat to training and advising Afghan forces. Okay, the recording cut off halfway, but anyways. Nixon, now with his amazing plan, which was called Vietnamization, was beginning to slowly pull out troops. During Nixon's term, Ho Chi Minh died. Congratulations, it's a celebration party all day. US morale fell and war. Yeah. Now there was a little thing, just a little leak, of what is now known as the Pentagon Papers. Now, when you hear Pentagon Papers, if you know, you know. If you don't,
that is very cool.
Here's a brief summary. It's basically a few documents about
really
US involvement in Vietnam, including the secret CIA operations there. Now, again. The Tet Offensive allowed the US to pull out many of its troops, which were then filled in by armed personnel.
Alright, all of you can just delete. And instead, we're gonna get in these people, which can do a good job. Hopefully.
In Cambodia, the prince there was overthrown, and an avid supporter of the US was installed. During this, Cambodia began rounding up Vietnamese people and massacring them. This led the Communist Party of Cambodia to seek help from the North Vietnamese, so they launched an invasion. The same thing happened to Laos to a degree, only there it had a major supply line used by the North Vietnamese called the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which the US tried to bomb and destroy it. They did manage to bomb it many times, but even that didn't stop the pattern to supply and reinforce the troops. Many could say that the effectiveness of the Ho Chi Minh Trail could be a factor in why the Viet Cong was so effective in southern Vietnam. Peace in mind! Not the song from Boston. So the US, as we have said, has had internal conflicts and other conflicts, and it wanted to end the Vietnam War and get the men out of there. They got peace through the 1973 Paris Peace Accords, which are supposedly promised to end the war. It didn't work like that because immediately after the US pulled out, the North Vietnamese launched another invasion, but this time the US didn't intervene.
Hey guys, wanna know something funny? The United States pulled out. So why don't we just deploy teams in the countryside and we go ahead and take over? What the
This led to the fall of Saigon in 1975. How Vietnam outperformed the US. So the big question clouding up in the air is how the Vietnamese won. This is really due to a number of factors. For example, US military commanders were trained to go on the offensive, not defensive, chosen by the US military doctrine at the time. Failure to effectively counter the Ho Chi Minh Trail and the guerrilla warfare caused by the Viet Cong. Collapsing morale over time, and protests around the country as the war waged on. There are only a few of them, as there are plentiful of reasons why the US pulled out earlier, failing US military capabilities. And the Vietnam War also left Vietnam plaguing with a special chemical known as Agent Orange. I should get that line changed, but no, my brain. Outro. So the US basically lost the first majorly televised war and their first ever major war. Even so, what could the US have done differently to possibly win the war? I really do not know, and I do not care enough to give you an answer, but hey, it's up to you to theorize whatever you have an answer. Anyways, I really don't know, but maybe you can think something else. I will be taking my leave. Have a great day. Thank you all so much for watching this video. This is a tragedy in a whole, but 19 minutes and 33 seconds, we're here to this point. Or if you're watching another edited version, this won't be in. Now, it will probably be like 17 minutes or so, but still, I thank you for watching. It's maybe probably one of the longest ones I've done yet. Because I still have 5 to 6 hours of footage to edit on another one, which I'm not saying anything, but only that it's 95 gigabytes and I seem to be unpinged. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you around soon. You can find my YouTube channel, this link, which if I remember, will put on screen right now. Credit goes to everyone, or everything, the music here, and some 2 tracks I'm composed, and the others I've found. But go check out Armor Free Sword Prairie Fire. Most of the methods or media were used through that, which I'm thankful for having. God bless. I shouldn't be talking for much. It's probably first period right now or something, I don't know. But enjoy. Go have recess or something.